You are standing deep within the sweltering, impenetrable tropical lowlands of the Mexican Gulf Coast. It is the year 1000 BC. Long before the great Mayan pyramids pierced the skies of the Yucatan, and thousands of years before the Aztecs built their floating capital, there was San Lorenzo. This is the dawn of Mesoamerica. We call the people who live here the Olmec, the rubber people, though no one knows what they actually called themselves. They are the ultimate enigma of the ancient world, the elusive mother culture that will invent the blueprint for every single civilization that follows them across the continent. They are the first to harness the profound power of rubber, the first to build massive artificial mountains of earth, and the first to carve the faces of their rulers into impossibly heavy, colossal stone. Using advanced archaeological mapping of the San Lorenzo plateau, the analysis of ancient trade routes, and the painstaking study of surviving jade and basalt artefacts, we have meticulously reconstructed the absolute zenith of this forgotten empire. We are going to strip away the dense jungle vines and walk into the blinding, humid reality of the first American metropolis. Imagine moving 20-ton boulders without wheels, drinking the bitter, frothy liquid of the cacao bean, and standing in the presence of kings who believe they can transform into jaguars. This is 24 hours at the absolute foundation of the new world. The day begins at 4:30 a.m. The darkness of the jungle is absolute, but the air is already thick, heavy, and intensely humid. You wake up inside a spacious rectangular house with walls made of interwoven reeds packed tightly with smooth, pale clay. The steeply pitched roof above you is thatched with palm leaves, perfectly designed to shed the torrential tropical downpours that define this environment. You are not sleeping on the damp earth. You rest on a raised, comfortable platform covered with woven mats. You are a master sculptor, an elite member of this highly stratified society, and your house sits near the very center of the city. You step outside into the thick morning mist. The scale of the city beneath your feet is a staggering, invisible triumph of human engineering. San Lorenzo is not built on a natural hill. The Olmec have spent generations carrying millions of baskets of earth and clay upon their backs, manually dumping and packing the soil to create a massive artificially flattened plateau over a mile long. They physically elevated their entire city 50 feet into the air to protect it from the devastating seasonal floods of the Coatzacoalcos River Basin. It is a monument to sheer, relentless human willpower. For breakfast, you do not eat wheat or barley. Those grains do not exist in this hemisphere. Your wife serves you a warm, thick gruel made from early, small-cobbed maize, flavored with wild chilies and a pinch of salt. But the true mark of your elite status is what you drink. A servant hands you a beautifully painted ceramic bowl filled with a dark, bitter, frothy liquid. It is cacao. The Olmec are the very first civilization to harvest and ferment the beans of the cacao tree. They do not sweeten it with sugar. They mix it with water, cornmeal, and chili, pouring it back and forth from a height to create a thick, rich foam. It is an incredibly potent, caffeinated stimulant that prepares your mind for the monumental task ahead. By 7 a.m., the tropical sun burns through the mist, and the temperature immediately begins to soar. You walk toward the sacred workshops on the edge of the great earthen plazas. You are standing before your masterpiece. It is a colossal stone head, standing 8 feet tall and weighing over 20 tons. The logistics required just to get this stone here are almost incomprehensible. The Olmec do not have the wheel. They do not have draft animals like horses or oxen. This massive block of solid volcanic basalt was quarried in the Tuxtla Mountains over 40 miles away. It had to be dragged through dense, deadly jungles on wooden rollers, loaded onto massive balsa wood rafts, and carefully navigated down the winding, treacherous river currents by hundreds of men coordinating their strength flawlessly. Now, the stone sits in your workshop. You are carving the portrait of your living ruler, but you face a profound technological barrier. The Olmec do not have iron or bronze tools. You cannot use a metal chisel. To carve stone, you must use a harder stone. You and your apprentices spend hours using heavy, smooth river cobbles made of dense quartzite, repeatedly, forcefully striking the basalt to slowly fracture and shape the massive face. It is a deafening, incredibly dusty, and agonizingly slow process. Once the rough shape is established, the true art begins. You use wet sand, water, and specialized stones to endlessly grind and polish the surface. You are carefully rendering the deeply specific, iconic features of the Olmec style: the broad nose, the prominent, downturned lips, and the distinct, tight-fitting leather helmet worn by the elite ball players. This is not an abstract god. This is an exact, highly personalized portrait of a specific king. When he eventually passes from this world, this colossal monument will remain, a massive anchor of political and spiritual gravity staring out across the plazas forever. By 11 a.m., the sweltering heat forces the heavy labor to slow down. You leave the dust of the carving plaza and walk toward the commercial exchange zones. San Lorenzo is a magnet for the entire continent. Because the Olmec produce the finest art, the most advanced ceramics, and hold immense religious authority, merchants travel hundreds of miles through the mountains and jungles just to trade here. You meet with a caravan of weary traders who have just arrived from the distant, towering highlands of Guatemala. They are carrying the most sacred, highly prized material in all of Mesoamerica, jadeite. To your people, gold and silver are completely irrelevant. Jade, with its brilliant, deep green color, represents the ultimate essence of life, water, and sprouting maize. You inspect the heavy, raw green stones, trading them for intricate pottery and coastal shells. Next to them are merchants from the central Mexican plateau, carrying heavy packs filled with pure black obsidian. This volcanic glass is an absolute necessity, used to craft razor-sharp blades for woodworking, hunting, and the sacred rituals of the priests. You are watching the very first iterations of a vast continental trade network being woven together, connecting distinct tribes and creating a shared cultural universe. By 2 p.m., a deep, rhythmic, heavy thud echoes across the packed earth of the central precinct. You walk toward a long, flat, rectangular alleyway flanked by sloping earthen embankments. You are about to witness the earliest known version of the Mesoamerican ballgame. This is not a casual sport. It is an incredibly intense, highly charged religious and political event. 2 teams of elite athletes step onto the court. They wear thick, protective belts of wood and leather around their waists, heavily padded knee guards, and the distinctive, tight-fitting helmets you carve into your statues. The object of the game is entirely unique. The Olmec have mastered the chemistry of the local environment. They take the raw, milky latex sap from the Castilla elastica rubber tree and mix it with the crushed juices of the morning glory vine. This chemical reaction creates a heavy, solid, beautifully bouncing rubber ball. It is a technological marvel that European explorers will not comprehend for another 2.5 millennia. The ball is massive, weighing nearly 10 pounds. It is heavy enough to cause severe, sometimes fatal internal injuries if it strikes an unprotected player. The athletes cannot use their hands or feet. They must keep this heavy, speeding rubber sphere in the air, using only their hips and torsos. The gameplay is frantic, exhausting, and physically bruising. The rulers and the elite stand on the elevated embankments, watching the game intently. To the Olmec, the bouncing ball represents the movement of the sun across the sky, and the game itself is a ceremonial battle between the forces of light and the underworld. The stakes of the match are profoundly cosmic. By 6 p.m., the sun begins to set, casting long, fiery shadows across the immense earthen mounds. The suffocating heat of the day finally yields to the cooler evening breezes rolling in from the Gulf. You transition from the public plazas to the highly restricted sacred courtyards of the royal residence. Tonight is a night of profound spiritual necessity. The Olmec ruler is not just a political king, he is the supreme shaman. The people believe he possesses the absolute terrifying ability to traverse the spiritual realms and communicate directly with the ancestors and the gods of the rain. You stand in the flickering light of burning pine torches. The air is intensely fragrant with the thick, white smoke of burning copal resin, the sacred incense of the jungle. The ruler sits upon a low, carved stone throne. He wears a breathtaking, intricate headdress adorned with the brilliant green feathers of tropical birds and the spotted pelt of the apex predator of the rainforest, the jaguar. To the Olmec, the jaguar is the ultimate symbol of power, the silent, deadly master of the night. The most sacred art you produce features the were-jaguar, a supernatural being that is half human, half feline, characterized by a distinct cleft in the head and a fierce, snarling mouth. The ritual begins. The ruler holds a highly polished, perfectly concave mirror made of iron ore sourced from distant mountains. These mirrors are technological wonders, polished to such a flawless, reflective sheen that they can literally start fires by focusing the sun's rays. In the torchlight, the mirror flashes brilliantly, acting as a portal to the spirit world. The ruler must perform a bloodletting ritual to ensure the rains will return and the maize will grow. He uses a long, incredibly sharp stingray spine traded from the distant coasts to pierce himself. The ritual is a solemn, deeply revered act of cosmic reciprocation. He offers his own life force to nourish the earth. The drums beat a slow, hypnotic rhythm, and the heavy scent of the copal smoke induces a deep, trance-like state. You watch with absolute reverence. In this courtyard, the boundary between the physical earth and the divine realms completely dissolves. By 9 p.m., the intense spiritual focus of the evening transitions into a grand feast for the elite. You recline on woven mats in the courtyard. The agricultural bounty of the wetlands is displayed before you. There are large ceramic platters of perfectly roasted fish wrapped in fragrant leaves, savory stews of squash and beans, and rich, tender meats. The Olmec diet is incredibly diverse, utilizing the dense resources of the river networks. You feast on roasted freshwater turtles and the meat of small, specially bred dogs, considered a delicacy reserved only for the highest-ranking nobles. You drink fermented cacao, rich and intoxicating, as the conversation flows among the master artisans and the priests. You discuss the complex tracking of the stars, the rising of the rivers, and the architectural plans for a newly designed earthen pyramid. You are an elite class deeply engaged in the observation and manipulation of the natural world. By midnight, the massive, elevated city of San Lorenzo settles into the dark. There are no glowing street lamps, only the dim embers of the cooking fires. The jungle completely reclaims the auditory landscape. From the deep, impenetrable canopy beyond the plateau, you hear the terrifying, booming roar of the howler monkeys, a sound that shakes the very leaves of the trees. You might hear the distant, stealthy rustle of a jaguar moving through the underbrush. You lie back on your raised platform inside your thatched home. You look up into the darkness, listening to the magnificent, unyielding pulse of the rainforest. You are part of a civilization that looked at a hostile, flooded swamp and decided to build a mountain upon it. You figured out how to make rubber bounce, how to turn a heavy river rock into a flawless, permanent portrait, and how to harness the stars to feed thousands of people. The Olmec civilization will eventually face immense environmental changes. The rivers will shift their courses, the great cities of San Lorenzo and La Venta will be abandoned, and the jungle will quietly, inevitably swallow the colossal stone heads, burying them under centuries of earth and vines. But the ideas forged on this plateau will never die. Hundreds of years later, the Maya will take your calendar and your mathematics to unprecedented heights. The Aztecs will play your ballgame and revere the jaguar. You did not just build a city in the swamp, you provided the very cultural DNA for an entire continent. Every pyramid that rises in the Americas, every piece of carved jade, and every drop of cacao poured in the centuries to come is a direct, undeniable echo of the genius of the rubber people. This video is brought to you by the Paladin Learn History app. Scan the QR code to learn more history.